me.
Look at how nice you look. You were right. You did do your hair.
Well, I did. I had a shower and
Oh,
like I'm still wearing my spandexy pants on the bottom, but it's okay.
I don't wear pants anymore, ever.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. Well, or
Okay,
is
that's way too much information.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are here, so we can edit all that out. I'm glad you're here. I've introduced you. Let's start. Are you ready? Do you
I
need to
am.
get yourself centered, or are you ready to go?
I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Put my glasses on so I can see.
Yeah, you look like a
Okay.
different person than who I
I
spoke to
do.
pre-show. Look at you. Okay, tell us what journaling or therapeutic writing, I guess it would be under that category. What is this all about? What is it?
Well, it's actually kind of hard to explain unless you experience it. So, but from my perspective, what it's done for me is for years, I've always tried to manage myself emotionally through various activities and counseling and all that stuff. And then I got wind of some therapeutic writing, which I got taught to do, and it pleasantly started to help me manage my emotions in a way that was very productive. And I was able to find a home for my thoughts and feelings through pen and paper. And once I found that tool and started doing it, I was pleasantly surprised of how much better I felt each and every time I did it. And then it actually became quite addictive for me, and I just couldn't stop writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is my way of life now.
Mm-hmm.
And
you
yeah.
worked with somebody who has some skills developed around this.
Yes.
And you've progressed through that experience into some training, and now you're actually leading or coaching other people in this.
Yes. When I first started, I was in desperate need of help.
Mm-hmm.
When I got involved with this particular person who helped with memoir writing, it was right in the thick of when my dad was dying at hospice, which I was in the middle of a memoir writing class at the college. And then all of a sudden it just expedited from that. It turned into all my stuff kind of went down on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned into how my pockets from my past came to my present condition, and they came together through my writing, and I was able to heal myself. But she was just the right teacher at the right time. And I just moved right into writing.
What I really love about writing, the same reason I like meditation or anything else, is that it's something you can do by yourself. It's something, once you learn how to do it, it's inexpensive. It's really effective. You can make it work for your schedule anytime you want. I know that you and I spoke about that when we were getting ready for the show, and you were saying it's the cheapest therapy out there. Something, I forget what your quote was, but it's true. Because that's one of the biggest barriers for people getting help is a lot of people can't afford certain types of therapeutic services, but journaling is something that doesn't cost money.
Well, and it's a tool that you're empowered to do it yourself. So you don't have to rely on other people to get it going for you. You just have to write. Mm-hmm. And then things manifest, because writing for me is probably the deepest form of meditation that I've ever experienced. And it's easy. Mm-hmm. You just write. You don't think, you just write.
And
it doesn't matter what comes out.
And it can be solitary, and there can be a group practice as well that we'll talk to in a bit during the show.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the show. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be alone either. And
absolutely.
I got to get my joke in here. You told me, you told me when we were getting ready for the show that you've actually used some of your writing when you're dating. Tell us about that. To put you on the hot seat.
How many people are on the show?
Together.
Yeah. So, So
I don't want to put
the thing. That's okay. I like this kind of stuff. Okay. The thing with writing is when you write, you can't lie, because your pen doesn't lie, right? So So I just sort of decided that when I was starting to get back into the dating game, I was going to actually see if some of these dates would write with me, because I really wanted to get to the bottom of some of the stuff, right? I wanted to see, you know, where the issues laid or whatever.
The business,
And,
right? Unpack all the.
oh yeah, like let's just get to it, right? Let's go to a coffee shop. Let's write, see what happens.
Okay.
And most of them weren't very impressed with that, but they got weaned out pretty quickly. And then there was a few that were quite brave and thought it was kind of a cool idea. And then, you know, eventually they kind of joined my writing group because they didn't they realized how awesome it was. They're all since married now, so but they really enjoyed it because it opened them up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a safe place to do it, right? Like I like to know that I'm a safe person to help people open stuff up with. So that's why I like writing with people, because I can create that safe space, right? So,
well, having said that, let's get at it. Tonight, what
sure.
we're going to do is we're going to do 3 short exercises you're going to guide us through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to leave us with a takeaway practice that we can do alone in the coming days.
Yeah.
And see how that goes. So let's start.
Awesome.
What do we do? I got my pen.
Okay, everyone needs a pen and paper.
Okay.
And so this time right now is for you guys. And it's just a relationship with your pen and paper. That's all it is. You're not going to be graded on this or judged, or, you know, the red pen's not going to go across your page. It's going to mark out all these things that, you know, you've done wrong or you said wrong. You're just going to write. So,
can I jump in there for 1 sec?
Yes.
Before you go on, I know that when I've done writing or been coached on writing before, you can choose to keep it or you can choose to not even read it again if you don't want to. So there's no expectations there either, right? The point isn't what you write down. It's the actual practice of just getting it out.
Yeah, like it's a plan A and a plan B, right? So the first plan is, it's hard for people to get stuff out. So once you learn how to get stuff out, then you can learn to be more vulnerable and actually take it to the next phase, which is actually sharing what your writing meant to you. So it's a 2-step process. The writing is not, the actual writing itself is not, there's power in that, but not as much power is in the sharing of what you've written and having the ability to be vulnerable enough to share with a group or share with a person your deep feelings and thoughts about things. So, yeah.
So, and maybe that's a good timing to talk about that now, because we had a little last second meeting right before the show. Because we're not in a live group and we can't have a group discussion, we're going to incorporate a bit of that using some of the comments. But you're also going to prompt us on what a live class might look like when the time comes, and reflect
Absolutely.
on what we're not going to do live tonight. Okay.
Yeah, for
Great.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is your first writing is going to be on gratitude. And I'm going to time you guys for 2 minutes. And when you hear the sound, can everyone hear that?
I can.
Okay. I'm going to time you out with the Buddha bell.
Okay.
And then after you finish writing,
other people can hear it, by the way,
and the Buddha bell goes off, then you're going to reread what you've written, and you're going to do what's called a reflective statement. So I want you guys to write this on your piece of paper right now. So you're going to write on gratitude. We're going to do that for 2 minutes. When I ding the bell, you're going to answer the question, I now realize. And that's your reflection statement. And that's going to be what we're going to share through either just through the chat, and Jody will actually read those out. So that's our first task. Is there any questions?
Nope.
No. Okay. So just take your pen and paper, open up your mind, and whatever comes to your mind, just write on gratitude. And then you're going to end it with a reflective statement, which is, I now realize.
So if they get stuck and nothing comes out, what do? You just keep writing a word, I am stuck, or I
Yeah.
don't know what to
You
write.
just, the very last word that you wrote, you want to keep writing it until another word comes. Let the pen keep going, even if it's question marks or stars or fishies, whatever, just keep the pen going. And this is a practice. So this takes time, right? So, okay,
Eventually something will come out.
so let's start,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll ding you out in 2 minutes. Go.
Can't stop writing.
Yeah, stop writing. So now what I want you to do is you're going to reread what you've just written, and you're going to write down, I now realize, and I'll give you about a minute to do that. So go.
Should I share mine?
Sure.
So what, I feel like mine might be too long, but the reflection or reflective statement, what do we call it?
A reflective statement.
I now realize that gratitude can help me choose to notice and respond to life positively, and that impacts me and those around me positively.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay, who else wants to share? I know it's hard to type that much. Did you do one, Kathy, or did you just watch?
I just watched for today.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I do write all the time when I write with people. I don't sit and watch them do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to add a comment to share? It might be a lot to type out if they're on their phone, but oh, we have a question. One sec. Oh, one of my team members said we needed Jeopardy music. during our break. Okay. I now realize I am so grateful to be a witness to my daughter's becoming. Wow. That's amazing. It's very powerful. Does anybody else want to share? Hi, Tracy. I now realize I am grateful for the simple things in life: health, family, and community. I love that. Maybe we can take one more, if there is one more. Okay, let's move on to number 2.
Okay. So this next one is challenges.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you. What
okay.
would we do if we were live in a room together? What would we do? Because you said we can't do it the same way. Yeah.
Okay, so basically what happens is if I was sitting in a room with all of you, we would share, would write, and then I would actually offer out, if anybody wants to read what they've written, the whole piece, they're welcome to. But you can pass if you want to. But I really encourage the sharing. And then what happens is I tell the rest of the group that we're not here to critique or judge or tell your own story about, you know, something that happened for you, but you're actually just practicing listening to what other people are saying on their written page. And what seems to happen is that there becomes a link between, maybe there's a word that stands out in somebody else's writing, or the story is very similar to somebody else's, and that prompts the other person to share because there's a connection to a word or an experience or whatever. By the time we go around in a circle and everyone shares, there's a cohesion at the end where everyone seems to identify with somebody else's piece of writing. Very powerful.
So it's like any group therapy or peer support situation.
Yeah.
So there's the power of witnessing, and then there's the connections.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool.
And just an immense, there's a lot of intimacy that goes on when you write in a circular fashion with other people, because it's very vulnerable, it's very deep, and it's very real, and it's very emotional. A lot of people have tears when they're reading and sharing the depth of what their soul is actually putting out on a piece of paper. So
yeah, for most people, sharing anything they write is very vulnerable, because most of us never share those things with anybody.
Yeah, and people they burn journals, they get rid of journals. I still have journals from when I was a teenager, still packed underneath my stairs. Like I haven't gotten rid of any of them.
Can I read them?
Sure. Absolutely. Go for it if you can read my writing.
I remember I caught my brother once when I was little. He was hiding in my closet reading my journal. I was like, so I'm one of those, I want to burn them, but I don't. I keep them too. I just hide them better now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
let's move into
our next writing is challenges at this time. That's the question. And the reflective statement is, I noticed that. So we'll get started.
Jeopardy music.
So I'll give you a minute to reread what you've written and then just answer the question, I noticed that.
Should I start with mine again?
Sure.
Okay. The rest of you get, if you want to add or share a comment, please do so. I noticed that the challenges this time has turned off the autopilot, and it's prompted me to pay attention and be more present and purposeful in how I interact with everybody and everything in my normal day-to-day life.
I didn't write this, but I would like to share that I noticed something today, that when we were hiking, there was this really beautiful purple flower that was kind of sitting over, but it wasn't completely bloomed. I've never noticed those before until today. They were gorgeous. So that complements what you just said with your writing.
Yeah, I think in hardship and learning how to navigate an uncertain environment, you end up paying attention more because you can't just blindly go through it. So what does this say? I noticed, this is a contributor, I noticed that I didn't want to admit my shame and guilt around my challenges. Wow. I think I was having shame and guilt around my shame and guilt. And I have been inviting self-compassion. Wow. Thanks for sharing. Shame and guilt, that's definitely something I can relate to over the last few weeks. And I've heard other people talking about it too. Does anybody else want to share? Shall we move on to exercise number 3, Kathy?
Sure.
Great.
So we're going to do something a little bit more fun because I love fun. So sometimes writing doesn't have to be so structured. So I've got these little cue cards right here,
I'm going to turn off the
and I'm gonna just randomly pick them. They're like heart cards. So I'm gonna not look, and I'm just gonna pick one, and we're gonna write on this. So this one is give your life new meaning. And so our writing is give your life new meaning, and your reflective statement is I am surprised by.
Okay, I'm totally confused with this prompt.
Okay.
How do I give myself new meaning, or is that you don't want to tell me more than that?
I can't tell you any more to that. So basically I'm going to give you the sentence, just give your life new meaning.
Okay.
And then you're going to write on that particular prompt. And self-reflection reflection is I am surprised by. So we'll give you 2 minutes to write. So now take a minute and just answer the question, I am surprised by.
Shall I be the first again?
Sure.
Kind of my job. I was surprised by how many of us in this time of pandemic are interpreting this as an opportunity to reinvent and redefine our lives and choices of how we live to bring more meaning, health, and a responsible existence in the future.
Thanks, Jody.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else care to share? I know it takes a while for everybody to type in. I don't know if you can use the dictate function on a comment on a live Instagram show. Where'd you get those cards, by the way? Is that something that you've made, or where did you get those?
No, you can get them at any kind of like rock shop, or the chapters often sells them. You can get them online too. So.
And it's marketed as a journaling prompt tool.
I don't know if it's actually prompted for journaling, but it's maybe just for inspirational quotes for the day, that when you're not able to think about what to write about, and you just randomly pull something just to get things going, because sometimes we can't think about what to write. So it's nice to randomly pull something out and just let it guide you, right?
Great.
So, yeah.
Okay, so that was our practice for tonight.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So yeah, like the last question I have is one word to describe what it was like to journal tonight for people.
I can say that it was inspiring and made me feel addicted to it again.
That's very addicting.
I think it's like exercise or yoga or meditation. Writing's right up there with, sometimes there's a resistance to get going, but you're never not totally happy and satisfied after doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. We had somebody say creative is their word for their experience tonight.
Nice.
Anybody else? Can you see the comments, Kathy, or just me? I'm curious.
No, just you, I think.
Okay. Don't worry, there's nothing weird or inappropriate. And if there was, I'd be straight-faced and pretend there wasn't.
You would filter it. Tell me later.
Yeah. So do you typically end any writing session with a word? Like what is the value there with something?
So I always end on a good note, because sometimes the sessions can be quite heavy.
Yeah.
So one of my tools I use is I mean, I sometimes feel like a little bit of a serial killer doing it, but I cut out the words in magazines. But I don't post them up on the, I don't stalk people. But, so that was my joke. I put them into an envelope.
Okay.
And randomly pull out a word, and we usually will end on a word. Or what happens is that when we're in a group, there's a theme that goes on. And I'll tie in the theme at the end of that. Will be our last write, as some sort of positive theme to tie it all in together. So you want people leaving feeling refreshed. I find that after a writing night with a group of people, everyone sleeps well that night. Every single person. So
it's just like meditation. It calms your mind, empties your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we promised everybody that before we go tonight that we're going to leave them with something they can do themselves every day if they want to try out a regular writing practice to see what it does for them. So you're going to explain it, and I'm also going to ask you to answer the question of how long you suggest someone try it before they'll understand, get into the flow of it, and it'll feel,
Yeah. So Julia Cameron has written a book called The Artist's Way, and the morning pages are inspired through her writing. And what the morning pages are is that right when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you write 3 pages. I've been doing this for many years, and my morning pages sometimes are 1 page, and I'm okay with that. They don't have to be 3 pages. It's just basically getting up and knowing that your routine before you start the day is to write. When you do morning pages, nobody sees this. You don't have to read it out to people or yourself or whatever. It's just free-flowing thoughts that come out of your mind onto the paper, and you leave it as is. It doesn't have to flow. It doesn't have to have a rhythm. But what happens is that a lot of interesting ideas and concepts come out when you are first thing in the morning when you wake up. So they're very profound, the morning pages.
They're my wows.
Yeah.
My wows.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, some people literally don't get out of bed. They grab their pencil and pen, it's beside their table, and they do it before they even get out of bed. Yeah. Some people need their coffee, some people do but the goal is to get it done within the first, half an hour of waking up. It's supposed to be a morning practice. Yeah. And I've seen different versions of it, 10 pages or 10 minutes, or I like what you said about it can be, sometimes it's 1 page. Sometimes that's all you got and you feel empty. And sometimes it's a half an hour and you can't stop and you have to stop because you have to get ready for work or whatever. But
and what's nice about that is we're not all the same each day. So some days I can write more than other days, and I'm going to accept the fact that
I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on Thursday. We're going to be talking to Wendy Krillman all about positive psychology. Are you going to come, Kathy?
Absolutely. Now that it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and you know what? Let us know if 8 o'clock's working better. Our marketing genius wizard, Greg, has been doing all the digging into all the data, and it seems like all of our viewers have more free time in the evening. So that's when we're going to try to do our shows, and we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. Great.
Great. Well, have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jody.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.